Hey, what's going on everyone? NoZoupForYou here, and you are watching some ranked sprint gameplay. But that's not the purpose of this video. Even though I had a pretty darn good round in my gearing, and I'm glad I did. It's been a long time since I played the gearing. I've gravitated away from it, I guess, because there's been so many other DDs that have come out. A dearth of DDs, if you will. A plethora, Hefe. And, you know, I've just kind of forgotten about it, because you've got Summers now, and Summers has more torpedoes, but I went out and decided to play the gearing because I wanted to prove to myself that the gearing was still a good ship. And it is still a good ship. It's a very good destroyer. So, if you haven't played it in a while, don't overlook it because there's other ships out. The gearing is still very viable. It's still got very good torpedoes. It's still got decent gun reload, so it's very viable against enemy ships. And plus you've got that smoke, which is, it's just really good. So if you haven't been able to get the Summers yet, you know, don't fret, because they're very similar in many ways. Granted, and there's a nice torped right there on their gearing. He just kind of wandered right into that. They're very similar in ways. The torps are the same. Gun reload on the gearing is going to be a little faster than the Summers, though Summers hits a little harder. But the point of this video is about the recent buff that all destroyers have received. And you might be saying, hey, I don't recall hearing about any buff for destroyers. You know, what are you talking about, Zoo? Are you crazy? No, I'm not crazy. And there's another torped right there. I'm not crazy. There has been a stealth buff. And some of you know what I'm talking about, and some of you probably don't. And it happened just recently, within the past couple months. We've had several changes to the game, and one of those changes has been the addition of Torpedo Tube Mod 1. And Torpedo Tube Mod 1 is really, really good in my opinion. What it does is, it adds 5% of your overall torpedo speed on top of it. And I don't know if I explained that correctly. Basically, you get 5% more torpedo speed. So, for instance, if your torpedoes go 100 knots, they will go 105 knots. That's the easiest way to explain it. Now, why do I consider this a buff? Well, anytime your torpedoes go faster is a good thing. Not only that, from what I've seen, the spotting distance of these torpedoes does not change even though you put this on. So if that spotting distance, that detectability was 1.4 kilometers, it's going to remain 1.4 kilometers. So what that does is, it gives the enemy ship even less time to react to your torpedoes. So essentially, every single destroyer in this game, almost, has the ability to add this. And what that does for you, it completely rejuvenates destroyers. I mean, every single destroyer out there should be putting this on, save for the most gunboaty gunboats out there, because they're not going to have really much of a use for it. Now, what I've done is I've gone through and started adding it on ships I want to play, and I've been playing them in ranked gameplay, and just kind of renewing my love for certain destroyers. And it really does change certain destroyers. For instance, gearing. Let's kind of walk through what it does for the gearing. First, right off the bat, stock. Gearing's torpedoes go 66 knots. Now, if you add Torpedo Armament Expert, you know, give that extra 5 knots at the cost of a little distance, your torpedoes are bumped up to 71 knots. On both of those, they have a detectability of 1.4 kilometers. Now, when you add Torpedo Tubes Mod 1, you get an extra 3 knots added to your torpedoes for a total speed of 74 knots. And again, 1.4 for the detectability of these torpedoes. So, it might not sound like 3 knots is a lot, but it adds up, especially when you're using Torpedo Armament Expert. And we're in a little gunfight with this gearing here. I think that's the one that I... Yep, he's going to go down. There he goes. I think he's the one that I hit with an errant torp earlier in this game. So every nut helps on these torpedoes. Now, obviously, the slower the torpedoes, the less that mod is going to do. And when I said you can add this to every single destroyer, well, you know, use your best judgment. if you got a ship like the Sims out there, you know, is that extra 2 knots really going to help your torpedoes in the scheme of things? Probably not, especially since you're not taking Torpedo Armament Expert. So, while you can add this to every ship if you want, it's going to best help your high-tier ships. Your ships that have very fast torpedoes. For instance, I would say, let's say, the new Pan-European destroyers. It will help those ships a lot, because they've already got blazing fast torpedoes. I think I've got the small one up to like some 90 knots. I mean, it's kind of disgusting. The torpedoes on those fly faster, and I said fly right there. They literally fly. I think they're faster than the fairy swordfishes. I mean, that's quite insane. So, yes, I feel that this is definitely a buff for most high-tier destroyers. And it's a small buff for other destroyers. Maybe not a great one. And, hit something there. Look at that. Another... That wasn't an air torpedo. That was definitely aimed. Fletcher wants to dance now, too. This was a really good game that I had right here. Very, very enjoyable. I just did good this time. Well, I do good a fair amount, but... This is one of those rounds where the stars align. And I almost had what I would consider a perfect game, but I did blow it a little bit. But yes, Torpedo Tubes Mod 1 it's an excellent thing that's been added to the game. So if you find yourself as a Torp DD player, if you like Torps, you know, this is definitely for you. Especially in the high tiers. It helps. Every knot helps. And the fact that you don't lose any of your torpedoes concealment on it, you know, it just makes the reaction time, even a couple knots, that decreases the reaction time of the enemy ship by a little bit. So go through all your old destroyers, especially your high tier ones, if you haven't already. Go through them, slap this on there, play them again, and, you know, just play around with things. For me, this has really rejuvenated my love for destroyers. I mean, I've always loved destroyers. I really do consider myself a destroyer main, more than anything else, especially right now in these days, and especially in ranked gameplay. I mean, most of you destroyer players get it. If you want the job done right, you got to do it yourself. And in a destroyer, that's the class where you got to do it yourself. You don't trust other destroyer players to play destroyers in ranked gameplay, if you're a destroyer main. You do it yourself. So, this is a great mod right here, and it's not too expensive to take your other mod off and throw this on there. So again, play around with it. Play around with them, and yeah, definitely a small buff right there. Stealth buff, kind of went under the radar. I don't think too many people have been paying attention to this. So if you aren't aware of it, there you go. Make sure to put it on and have some fun. And I'm going to creep up on this Thunderer right now, and we're gonna continue on with this game. Interesting thing about this season, I think I have jumped on more battleships, like surprise torp them, than any other season we've had yet. I don't know what it is, but maybe the maps, there's just a lot of these little islands right here, but there have been a ton of games where I just sidle up to an island, wait, and jump out and surprise, hey, here I am. And that's about what I'm going to do to this Thunderer right here. And you see right now the game is still pretty close. We're even on ships. They've got a lead, actually. So we definitely have not won this game. And I've got a Yamato coming across right there that I'm going to fire at. I know I've got 10 more seconds coming on my torps for this Thunderer. And, you know, for some reason I think that's all I need. 5 torps on this Thunderer. It's going to be pretty close, though. I mean, the torps on the gearing are pretty strong. It should be enough to take out this Thunderer. Still, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to close in right on him. And I don't think he has his guns, but no. And that's one of the reasons I did that and started opening fire. He didn't have his guns trained on me, which is a good thing. 55 seconds left on my guns. And he's turning in. It's not going to save him completely. He's going to eat some torps. 8-1 right there, and I'm just going to continue to fire. And maybe this wasn't the round I was thinking of. This wasn't the round where I just completely jumped out in front of him and surprise, all my torps are going to eat you apart. There's been so many rounds that it's happened this season. I just can't remember what they are. I've almost assumed it's every round, but no. And our Yamato took out their Jean Bart, so even though they've got the center cap, we're closing in on it, and things are looking pretty good right now. We're kind of in control. I'm a little out of placement. I don't like where I'm at right now. I'm a little further away than I want to be, but I do remember now. I'm circling to try and get these torps loaded up. I know that Thunder is going to be pushing through my smoke, so I'm just going to nose in and make a beeline for him, because I know that I can take him out. With one torpedo spread, yeah, he's toast. And here he is. His guns, again, aren't facing me. He's going to try and turn into me, but it's not going to be enough. I'm just going to hold as long as I can and launch these torps, and look at that. Isn't that nice? 1, 2, 3, 4. And my other spread came up too, which is a good thing, because it would have been out. Even though it would have been alright. I would have kept going straight and used the smoke for cover. Got a nice little attaboy by a teammate right there. And with that happening, it's time to move in on the cap, because we just lost our Georgia. And once again, it's 3v3. We've got no lead at all. They've got the lead. They've got the center covered. 2 ships in the center. They're capping it. So I got to get in cap. A little desperate. They've got 1 destroyer left, which does concern me, only because I don't know at this point what destroyer it is. I haven't looked at the build-up of the teams real quick. I guess I could have. But, you know, if it's a gunboat, I might be in trouble. Because though the gearing is good and can hold its own, you know, everybody's low health at this point. I don't know what the deal with this destroyer is. I don't want to find out. But you know what? The Yamato's not aiming at me. I'm just going to start shooting at him. Try and start a fire on him. The more ships we can take out right now, and there's that fire, the more ships we can take out, the better off we are. I'm going to jump in cap right here, contest it. So we're going to stop the bleed. And this is where things start to turn around right now. I've still got almost full health, surprisingly, because it's not like I haven't been in the thick of the battle. 3 ships sunken so far, which is quite nice. 1 of each buff, that's not bad either. This Ohio is low health, so, you know, right now we're sitting pretty. Right now, the game is essentially tied ship-wise. There's another buff right there, and another steering buff, which, you know, that helps. And there's the other ship, and it was Daring. Yeah, I remember now. And you know, Daring's not really a ship that I want to take on one-on-one alone in a gearing. I mean, Daring's a good ship. I do have my team behind me, though, so I'm going to start firing at it. I do have smoke right now as well, so I do have a getaway if I need it, which I'm going to use right now and veer away from them. And I knew those torps were going to come. So they've got 3 low-health ships now. They've got the Daring, which is low health. They got the Yamato, and they got the Ohio. And now I'm low health, too. I took kind of a hammering right there. But we've got the high ground. All their ships are low health, so they're going to be a little hesitant to get in cap, especially with 2 destroyers. And there's that Daring right there. Just start firing at him. Don't want to be broadside to him, really, but I've got no choice. He caught me that way, and it doesn't matter. I'm going to sink him. 4th ship sunk. And I'm on a roll. I'm going to go after this Ohio, so we can put this game behind us. It's been a good game so far. Been very close. I've enjoyed it because, you know, it's been ages since I played in the gearing. Absolutely long time since I played in the gearing. And I feel that I'm playing in it pretty good. So there's Ohio. My torps are almost up. I'm not going to push in on him. I'm going to wait. I don't want to use my guns, and I don't know what the hell just happened there. Did his own teammate just fire at him? That kind of... Yeah, they're firing at each other. I don't know what is going on right there. But I'm going to fire some torps off at him. Very bizarre. Same team, too. So, I guess they gave up right there? They're in give-up mode? I don't know. Alright, well, help me out right there. You know? Their Yamato took out ours, so again, it's 2v2. 2 extremely low-health battleships versus a low-health and a somewhat low-health destroyer. We should have this. As long as we don't play stupidly. We've got this in the bag. And these torps are going to find home. It's just a matter of which one first. And there's the Kraken. Oh, yeah. It always feels good getting a Kraken. It never gets old. Anytime you get that Kraken, it feels good. And it felt good this time. Because this was a very hard-fought game. On both sides. I kind of wonder how things would have happened had those two teammates not started firing at each other. I'm sure they didn't make their own team happy because they still had a chance. Especially in Ohio. I mean, it's not like it's a bad ship against destroyers. You've got some decent secondaries on it. I mean, and if he had loaded HE up, I mean, good lord. Who knows what would have happened? Now, this is where things almost took a turn for the worst. Completely my fault. And I got cocky. I got really cocky. You know, Yamato's closing in. I've got 5 kills. And I want more. I want 6. And I think I can get it. So I'm circling back around in case these torps don't hit. Waiting on him to come through. I'm going to watch. I've got my other destroyer here too, and I'm sure he's going to fire, which he does right here. Time is running out. We're still not winning. So we have to cap this within 2 minutes. And once we cap, we got to hope that the points catch up. So this is definitely not a 1 game yet. So that makes what I did even more stupid and embarrassing. Completely my fault. But here's the cap. And this is where I ruin what I would have considered a perfect game. Which, I still almost had 3,000 XP in this round. So, you know, 3,000 base XP. Anytime you do that. If I had not done this, I might have got it. But my torps are coming up. And right here, I drift a little too close. I get within his wheelhouse. I forgot that with the module on there... well, there's a fire. I forgot with the module, the legendary module, your detectability on this ship. I think the detectability on it increases a little bit. So, no, I take that back. That module actually... I can't remember. Who cares? The bottom line is I screwed up. and I don't even get the kill right here for my screw up. Which, had I sunk the Yamato, I would have felt a little better. But that's not going to happen. But it is what it is. And you know what? We had a good game. It's up to the Shimikaze right now. We're going to see what he does. He's closing in. Sorry, I was 3D printing something and I just completely screwed it up. That sucks. Oh well. It happens. His torps are going in. And there we go. That's the game. Great game. A lot of fun. Enjoyable. That's going to be the end of it. And again, that was one of my first rounds. So, pretty happy. Anyhow, take it easy. Thanks for watching. Zoop out.